Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on the time you are accessing this material. Welcome to Java Programming. This is our week 1, so our introduction week for the Java Programming course. If you are accessing this video on YouTube, this is a course run on coolchat.com. So you could visit coolchat.com to have more access to other programming courses as well. So if you're on coolchat.com, you go to Information Technology and the courses. So courses, and this is okay. So since this is the first week, I'll briefly introduce myself. So my name is Godwin Ashon, and I'm the one who will be writing you for the Java programming course. And this course is meant for everyone, and since we will also be teaching the basic of programming in this course, so there is no prerequisite for this course. So what is the course objective? So by the end of the course, you should be able to develop an application written in Java. Then we also do graphical user interface. So you should be able to build an application with a graphical user interface where it will be installed on a computer for people to use. Now, if you have a question or inquiry or any information you want to discuss with me, you need to log in to your coolchat account. If you don't have an account, you have to create an account. So once you log in and you come to this page, there will be chat with instructor over here. So you only have to click on this link. Then the chat box will pop up. It will direct you to the chat box, and you can send me a message. Okay. So welcome to our Java programming course once again. So this is week 1. So what are we going to study for week 1? So week 1, we briefly talk about the Java programming language and the Java program types. And now you can save a Java class, then compiling the Java class, then running your Java class and modifying the Java class. Okay, so let's get started. So in this course, this week, we'll be installing our environment, which is the interface for developing your Java program. So we will need an access to the internet. So since you are already accessing this material, probably on coolchat.com or YouTube, it means you are connected to the internet. So it's not going to be a problem, but you need to have enough data since we'll be downloading things from the internet. Okay, so what makes Java unique from other programming languages? So a computer program is a set of instructions that you write to tell a computer what to do. I believe this may not be your first programming language. If it is, so programming language or computer program, the programmer writes a set of instructions to the computer. So whenever it's being compiled, the machine or the computer executes those commands or instructions that you, the programmer, you write. Now we call something a compiler. Machines only understand their language, which is made up of binary codes, made up of ones and zeros. So in order for the machine to understand your programming codes, all IDEs have compilers already integrated. A compiler translates your programming code or a plain language text into a machine language. And if there will be an output to the compiler, will also display to a text that you will also understand. So it's like a translator between the source code and the machine, then machine also to your program, because the machines only understand the binary. So convert the binary to the language you understand, the language you write to the binary, so that the machine will also understand as well. Now, Java runs on almost every operating system because it doesn't have a direct connection with the program that you write will not have a direct connection with the operating system. The programs you write will have connection with the Java virtual machine. So a program that you write, it will be there's a Java virtual machine that will be interpreting it in order for it to be executed, unlike any other program that deals directly on the machine. So every Java program needs a Java virtual machine to be installed. Okay, so if you are developing a Java application or if a Java application is being run on the machine, it needs to install the Java virtual machine. Now, this Java virtual machine is the only one that have the connection with the machine. So Java, which is developed by Oracle, has a number of Java virtual machines for each of the operating system. So if you are using Mac, you have to install Java virtual machine for Mac. If you are using Linux, you have to install Java virtual machine for Linux. If you are using Windows, you have to install Java virtual machine for Windows. But the Java code is the same, irrespective of whatever operating system you are using, because the Java code itself does not have any connection with the machine. It has dealings with the Java virtual machine, which interprets your code. Okay, so now, so as I have explained, so this is your Java source code that you, the programmer, you write, which is stored on the disk. Now, like I've explained, we have a compiler which creates a bytecode that are stored in a disk in the file and named with in the class. Now, this compiler also deals with the Java virtual machine, which is the interpreter. It interprets your code that you write. So the Java virtual machine has a straight dealing with the computer operating system, but your code have dealing with the Java virtual machine. So every Java application needs to install the Java virtual machine before the Java code will be executed. Okay, so there are two types of Java programs. We have the applet, which is made for web page. So if you are writing a Java application that will be run on the web browser, then it's being referred to as an applet. But if you are writing the code that will be run on the computer, where there will be maybe an icon the person clicks, then the program will start. Then that one is Java application. So those are standalone programs. But if your program will run on the web browser, then it is being referred to as an applet. Okay, so now creating your first Java classes. So we will be using an integrated development environment, IDE. So IDE is just a developing application that has a place where you type in your code, and it has a compiler already embedded in that application. So when you run your code, you only click on the run icon, which most often it is green with a triangle inside, which is some also have a shorthand, which is the short function key, which is the F5. So based on each IDE and the function key for the running. But most of the running of the IDE for your code to be compiled is normally green with a triangle in it. The subsequent slides we will see it. Okay, so we'll be using our Eclipse as our IDE, our integrated development environment. That's why we'll be coding our Java applications and we'll compile them and run. Okay, so we need to install our Eclipse for Java. Now, this is how the Eclipse looks like. Now, before you install your Eclipse, you need to install the Java virtual machine, which you can download them on the internet. So the Java virtual machine, which you can, is also known as the JDK and the JRE. JRE is Java Runtime Environment. JDK is Java Development Kit. So if you have any of them, then if you have any of them installed, it has they all have the Java virtual machine. So you can just after doing the installation, you can install your Eclipse and use. Okay, now if you are downloading the latest Eclipse, it also works with the latest Java runtime environment or Java virtual machine. So you make sure that you download the latest Java development kit, and also you download the latest Eclipse so that they will all be compatible. Now, if you download a lower version of Java runtime environment and you download the latest version of Eclipse, now if it's not compatible, you get an error message that you need to have a higher version of your Java virtual machine. So it will indicate the version that you need to install. So to avoid that, make sure you download the latest Java runtime environment or JDK and the latest Eclipse package so that you not encounter that problem. So to download the latest Java development kit, there is a link which has been provided on the cool chat this week slide. So you just click on this link. So click on this link. I don't know what, when you click it, start a new cool chat. You can just double click it and go to that stage. Okay. Okay. So once you're on that page, then there are a list of ADKs. Now at the time the video is made, the latest is 15, Java SE 15. So you know that's one. But if at the time you are video and you visit that website, there are higher version, then you can download that one. Version is 15. So you can click JDK download. So when you click on it, it takes you to the page for you to start your download. Now you may be asked to create. I have already logged in, so me to create an account because I already Oracle account. So if this is time of using Oracle and you don't have any accounts and you haven't logged in, so these are the list of operating system and their download links. So if you are using Linux, Debian, then so based on the system you are using. If you are using Mac, you have to download this one. If you are using Windows, then you that one. So I'm default bit. So my installation download will be this one. So you click on it. So when you click on it, because I've logged in, it will not direct me to a login page. So you just agree to the terms. So once you agree to the terms, this will be green. Then you can start your. Okay. So now you click on JDK. So once you connect, if you haven't logged in yet, it will direct you login page. Then you just create an account if you don't have account. Now once you've created an account, it may also ask you to verify your email once you created an account. So the email you use the account, you have to log into that. Then there is a link you click and it will verify that email. Once you verify that, you can start your download. Okay, so the key thing is that you need to log in to download. I think they want to monitor how downloads, so that's why they asking you to get an account with them so that they can monitor who and who is downloading their Java applications for decision making. Okay, so once you log in and you click on these balls and you click on the download, it will start. So once download, normally you have to click on keep. You have to click on keep, then it will start the download, then start. So you just click on keep on your below your browser. It gives you that warning. So you just click on keep, then you're done. Okay. Now, because for the sake of time, I have already downloaded version. So once you get something like this, 50 64 bit. So based on your system and the one you download, they have the Java icon. So you can see that it says Executable, and you can start your installation. Agree, you say, do you want to allow the following program to make changes to it? So you click on yes. Okay. So once you click on, once you click on it, the installation wizard will go. You just follow the installation. So you click on next until the installation is complete. Okay. So it's playing the installation. So you just click on next. Okay, then the installation begins. So you wait for the installation to complete. So when it completes, it will say that it has successfully been installed. Okay, so once the installation is complete, you just click on close. Okay, so now if we installed our Java development kit. So that's the latest, the version 15. At the time this video is made, the version 15 is the latest. So we've installed that one. So now we can install our Eclipse. So that one, to make sure you get the latest version of your Eclipse. So you click on this link, eclipse.org/download/packages. So you can visit that website. So that one too, a list of them. The latest one will put on the page. So that one too, you can install the latest one for Java. The number of Eclipse packages on the programming language. So we are going to code in Java. So we'll install that for Java. So we have that. So if you want to download an executable file, there are two packages. So we have executable file, which is the installer. So if you want to use the installer package, so the installer package comes with executable file. So you just double click on it, then the installation will start, just like we did for the Java runtime environment. So if you want to use the installer version, the installer package, then you just click on your download, you choose your operating system. So if you are using Windows, you click here. If you are using Mac, you click here. If you are using Linux, you click here. Okay. So if you decide to use the installer version, you just click here. Then the download will start. Then the installer will be downloaded, just like we did the download for the JDK. Now, if you want to use a zip, download a zip file. Now, the difference is that with the zip, you unzip it, then get a folder, Eclipse folder, where anytime you want to run your Eclipse, you just double click on the Eclipse icon. Then the Eclipse will download, load, the application will run. Then you can start it. But so with the installer, you have a desktop icon. You go through a normal installation, then you have a desktop icon. So anytime you want to start the Eclipse application, you go to that desktop application, then you just double click it to start your Eclipse. But with the zip one, once you download the zip, you unzip it. Then in the folder, anytime you want to start Eclipse, you go to that folder, then you double click on the icon, which is application, then you start your Eclipse. So anyone that you want, you can have it. So the advantage of the folder is that you can have it on the external drive. So far as the machine has a Java runtime environment, when you even have it on your pen drive, when you double click on that folder and you open, you can start. Well, just double click on the Eclipse application to start your Eclipse. So that's the advantage of the folder over the installer version. So for the installer version, you need to carry the installer on the pen drive. Then any new machine you want to use, you need to install the Eclipse. But with the folder one, the folder is already on your pen drive, so you just open your Eclipse folder, then you can start your Eclipse application. But remember, each of them, anytime you are using a new machine, you need to install your Java virtual machine first before you can use your Eclipse. Okay. So if you decide to use the folder version, then use below this one, you click on your operating system you are using. So if you are using Windows, you just click on over here, and the installer, the zip one will be downloaded. So if you download the installer, you get something like this. If you download the zip one, you get something like this. Okay. So for the installer, you just double click on it. Then you go through the installation process, just like we did for our JDK. Okay. But in this case, I'm going to use the zip one that I've downloaded. So the zip one, you need to extract it. So you just click on the file, then you click on extract over here. So now you just click on the extract all, then you do your extraction. So the extraction is done, then you get, when you open that folder, you get a folder in it by names. So you can copy that folder into your pen drive or on your computer, anywhere you want to have it. So anytime you want to run the Eclipse application, double click on that folder, the Eclipse icon. So when you double click on that icon, this application starts. So you wait until the unzipping is done. Then open that folder. Then we copy our folder to wherever you want to put it on the machine. You can also put on your device anytime you are using a new machine, a different machine. So if you decide to use the folder one in any of them, you can also put the JDK. You can also save the JDK somewhere. So in machine, you just install the Java runtime and the JDK before your Eclipse. So if you are using the extraction one, so after extraction it like this. So you just double click in it, then you see your Eclipse folder. Then you can copy that Eclipse folder to wherever you want to have it. Okay. If for downloading, it will also be about that if you are using the install and then you just copy them somewhere. So in a new machine, you can just do the installation with these files rather than download from the internet again. That one is your choice. So we are waiting for the done. When the extraction is done, we can open our extracted file. Then we'll have our X folder. Then copy wherever you want to copy it. Then you can have your Eclipse application. Just double click on it. Then the Eclipse application will start. Okay, so it's almost done. Okay, so that is the Eclipse folder. So you can copy this Eclipse folder to wherever you want to save it. So I can put it in this folder here. So put it here. It means anytime I want to use Eclipse, I have to go to this folder. I can double click on it, on this icon, then I can start my Eclipse. So remember, before you install Eclipse, and you need to install the Java JDK, or you need to get the latest version. Because if you don't have the latest version, the Eclipse will give you a warning that that version is not compatible. So you download the version before it will work. Okay, so now if you click on the Eclipse folder, so if you double click on it, okay, that is the Eclipse application. So you can see that it has written an application. So that is the Eclipse icon, and that's the application. So anytime you want to start the Eclipse application, it means you need to go to the folder where you have your Eclipse folder. You double click on that folder, then you click on the Eclipse application. Then your Eclipse will start. So if everything goes on well, it means we've successfully installed our JDK, our Java runtime environment, or Java version, as well as our Eclipse IDE. So we can now start coding. If you are still on this stage where you are then after the installation, you get to this stage where it will load your Eclipse application. But if you use that, then when you double click on the Eclipse application, then it will load. Okay, so now when you get to this stage, it will ask you to select a workspace. Now, a workspace is a folder where you'll be saving your project. So you can create a folder on your computer where you'll be saving your Java project on it. So if you've created a project, then you can browse, you can click on browse. So when you click on browse, it will show you a folder, so you can choose where you want to create to save your project. So if I want to save my project in this folder, then I can just select that one. Okay, so my projects that I'll be creating will be saved under this E drive, lesson, Java, then project. So based on the folder you selected, that one will be here. So any new project you'll be creating, they all be saved over here. So once you browse to that folder where you'll be saving your project, so if you are certain that you'll be using this workspace, you can click here, so that it will not be asking you in the subsequent projects that you're creating. But if you are not certain, you can ignore it. So you click on launch. So you wait, then the Eclipse will open. Once your Eclipse loads, you can start it. This is a welcome page. So to go through tutorials, you click. Now, to start a new project, you just click on File, then New, then Java project. Okay, so this we are creating a Java project, so you click on Java project. The project and name. So I can call this one week 1. Okay, so once you are done, you just click on finish. You click on the finish. So you click on the finish. Once you've created it, will ask you to create other information is not necessary. If you want to create information of your project, then you can click create. But if you don't need to, you can just click on don't create. Now, as you will see on the week explanation, your source code for open your source code as you save it in a SRC in a bigger project package, which will be a folder in the SRC. That's when you are looking for a class to modify, it will be easy for you because you know which. So if you want to, for example, create a folder in the SRC, put the classes inside, then you right on the SRC, then you right click on the SRC. So you go to, okay. Now if you want to create a folder in the SRC where you store your class, you create a package. But if you want to store all your classes in the SRC direct, then you just create a class straight. So let's first of all, let's say just create a class for this week. The subsequent weeks, if we will need to separate our classes in folders, then we create a package, then we'll save our classes inside. But in this week, we just need an example of a class to see how our Java class works. So SR, if I click on the SRC, you go to new, then class. Okay, so here our main folder is our SRC, which is now our package. If you want into folders, then you create a package, then you right click on the package, then you go to new, then the class, then that class will be saved in the package where you right click. But we are saving for now, we are saving our class in our SRC. So we right click on the SRC, then new, then class. So classes are named in capital letters. Even though when you type a small letter, it will allow you, but it will give you a warning if you start with a small letter, because classes are supposed to be in a capital letter. Even though it will allow you to, it will ignore if you use a lower, but it will give you a warning. So like you say type name is discouraged. By convention, Java type names usually start with an upper case letter. So it will give you a warning if you use a lowercase, even though it will allow you. But ideally, you need to start with an uppercase. So let's say, for example, if you want to name this my first class, so my first class, okay. Now, where the code is executed is in the public static void main. So if you don't want to manually write that code, the public static void main, if you want to include it in your class, you have to tick on this box. So you tick here. If the class will include a public static void main. So if that class will include public static void main, you click here, you tick that box, then you click on finish. Okay, that is your first Java class. Now, just like any other programming language, you have a class for displaying an information on the screen. Now, today, this week, that's the only code we are going to write to display a text on the screen, on the console of our IDE. So we will display something over here. This is a console, so the text we want to display. Now to display something on the screen, we use what we call system, another class, which will be out. Then it has a method to be in the new line, so println, you call println. Okay, then in the brackets, in the brackets you have a double quotation. You can type in whatever text you want to display on the screen. So if I want to say hello class, then I can type that text in this double quotation, then I can close it. So if I want as many texts as I want, you can just put them in that syntax. So I can just copy here, and I can say my name is, and I write my name inside. So for practice, you can also write any text you want to write there. Okay. Now if I save this, As I've explained to you earlier on, in most IDE, the icon is green with a right triangle inside. So this is the run. So once you finish typing your code and you want to run, you just click on this run application, then it will run. So this is a console application. So our results, once the run has, you see that console as it comes here. So it will display the text we put in our system.out.println. So until we start with our graphical user interface where we can output on the screen using the label or any other design or a dialog box. Now we'll be using system.out.println in most of our subsequent codes to display something on the screen. So this week you've seen that that syntax system.out.println. Then in the brackets you should have a double quotation where you type in whatever text you want to display on the screen. Then once you run, that text will be executed. Okay. So I believe you've been install your JDK, you've been able to install your Eclipse. So like I've explained, Eclipse has two packages. We have the installable package and the folder package. The folder package is zipped. So when you download it, you have to unzip it. And inside the unzip folder, there is an Eclipse folder. So you can copy that Eclipse folder to wherever you want to have it. So if you want to have it on your desktop, you can go and paste it on the desktop. If you want to have it on your D drive, you can go and paste it on your D drive. You can also copy another one on your pen drive. So anytime you also need it, you can have it. Now, whenever you are using a new machine and you are installing the Eclipse, make sure that you also have the installer for the JDK, the Java Virtual Machine, which the Java codes work on it. So that one too, you need to install the Java Virtual Machine first before you install the Eclipse, before you can be able to use the Eclipse. Now, if you download the latest version of Eclipse, it's supposed to work with the higher version of the JDK. So you make sure you also download the latest version of the JDK. If your JDK version is not compatible with your Eclipse, you get an error that the JDK version is slower, so you should install the higher one. So in that case, then you need to Google the version, the lowest version itself. So you need to Google and get the higher version than what you already have on your machine. But in this tutorial, we downloaded the latest JDK and we downloaded the latest Eclipse. So we did not encounter that error. Now, if you install your Eclipse before you install your JDK, when you are running your Eclipse and the JDK is not installed, you get an error that you don't have a JDK. You should install it. So I'm back on the page so that we can wrap everything up. Okay, so in summary, we were able to install our, so you go to this link to download your Eclipse. Then you also go to this link to download your latest version of your JDK. Now, the Eclipse has two packages. We have the zip package and the installer. If you download the zip package, you unzip it. Then in that unzip folder, there is a folder called Eclipse. So when you double click on that folder, if you open that folder, there is an icon for Eclipse, which is an application. So when you double click on that application, your Eclipse will start. So once your Eclipse starts, you can browse to where you want to save your subsequent projects. So if you haven't created a folder, you create a folder on your machine and you browse to that folder and select it. So, and once you've selected your workspace, folder where you'll be saving your project, you just click on launch, then your Eclipse will launch. If you use the installer package, then just like the way we install the JDK, you double click on the installer, then you follow the installation process. And once you are done, the Eclipse application will start. In that one, it creates a desktop icon. So anytime you want to use Eclipse, you will go to your desktop, or you search in the bar, then you click on Eclipse. Then you just double click on it to open the Eclipse. But for the folder version, the folder package, anytime you want to use Eclipse, you go to that folder, then you double click on the Eclipse application to start. Now, I've also explained to you that if you haven't installed the Java runtime environment and you are trying to run your Eclipse, you get an error that you don't have a Java development kit or your Java runtime environment, which you will be asked to install it before you can use the Eclipse. Now, we also created our first project. So you can go to new, you can choose a project, or since it's a Java project, you can choose Java project create. Then you enter the project name, then you click on finish once you've entered the project name. Then to create a new class, classes are saved in the SRC. So if you, for a bigger project, we save the classes in subfolders. So if your project will have subfolders, this is the beginning, so we haven't gotten to the stage. But in a bigger project, we will create a package and we'll be saving its corresponding classes in that package. A package is just a folder. So to create a subfolder in the SRC, you just right click on the SRC, then new, then package. Then you will enter the name of the folder or the package you want to have. So once you save it, then to put classes in that folder or package, you right click on the name of that package. Then you go to new, then class. Then you can create a class. But if you want to save the classes directly in the SRC, then you right click on the SRC, then new, then class. Then you give the class a name. Now in Java classes, ideally you are supposed to use the first letter is supposed to be a capital letter. So the name should be a capital. The first letter is supposed to be a capital letter. Now if you use a lowercase, even though it will allow you to give you a warning that ideally you are supposed to use a first letter is supposed to be an uppercase. Okay. So once everything is done, now if your class will contain a public static void main, you can tick the box for the public static void main. So once you take it and you create a class, the public static void main will be included in your project. So based on, if you haven't done that, then you can add this public static void main in that class. Then, like I've explained, to display something on the screen, we use system.out.println. Remember the S is capital. So system, then dot out, then println. Okay. We also have another method called print without the line. So the print one is for horizontal display, but for vertical one, so that the next one will have a new line, we use a print line. So print with ln. Okay. Then any text you want to display on the screen, you put it in the double quotation, inside the double quotation. Okay. Now once you finish to run your code, you click on the green circle in the white rectangle inside. So you just click on that triangle with this one, then you can run your code. Okay. So that is it for today. So if you want to contact me because of maybe challenges or something you are having, just send me a message and I will get back to you shortly. Thank you very much and have a lovely day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.